Would you like to let Nathan know to begin the recording, please? It started. Go ahead.
Okay. The Board of Direct Entry Midwifery meeting is convening at 8:06 a.m. on October 21st, 2021 at the Health Licensing Office in Salem, Oregon by telephone conference call. I will now call roll. Beth Iva is not here yet. Wendy Smith.
Here.
Christine Morales.
Here.
Kelsey Fisher.
Here.
Lynette Pettibone.
Here.
Meredith Mance.
Here.
And Meredith Klein. I'm here. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. For the record, public members calling in to the public phone line are asked to email April Fleming at april.fleming@dhsoha.state.or.us and provide your first and last name. Public and interested parties' feedback may be heard during the public interested parties' feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. This meeting is called to order.
This is Kelsey, and I move to approve the agenda.
It's Wendy and I second.
Motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Wendy Smith.
Aye.
Christine Morales.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
Meredith Mance.
Aye.
Meredith Klein. Aye. So we're on number 2, items for board action. We approved the agenda. Approval of 2022 board meeting dates. And we have those all listed in our materials. Does anybody have any conflicts?
I'm not going to be able to make the January one.
We can move it then. Potentially.
Be great. Yeah. Trying to.
If we want to stick to a Thursday, the 6th would work better for me than any of the other Thursdays.
Is there any conflicts on HLO side to changing it to that date?
Nope, that date's open.
Okay.
I work that. Oh, I work that day as well. So I can just. If it's okay, I'm okay missing it. I work like every Thursday in January.
Mm. Okay.
This is Bob. Excuse me. Beth Iva looks like she just joined.
Yep. Hi, this is Beth. This is Beth Iva. I'm here.
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
It is 8:10 a.m.
Beth, we're just going over the 2022 meeting dates that are listed in our materials for today. We were talking about changing the January date. Would you still prefer to do that, Kelsey, or does it not matter since Christine can't come either way?
I have a slight preference for the 6th, but not enough to change it for everybody if the 13th works.
I prefer this 13th. This is Beth.
Anybody else have a strong preference? So maybe we just leave it as is.
Sounds good. I'm checking the rest of the dates now. My calendar didn't go that far.
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
I would prefer to move the September meeting by 1 week in either direction. So either September 8th or September 22nd.
Okay. Can you see, I'm not looking on the calendar that far ahead, but this year there was a meeting overlapping one of the Jewish holidays. It was either Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. Can you just see that that meeting doesn't overlap?
Yeah, let me check that. It looks like the 6th would overlap with Rosh Hashanah and the 15th overlaps with Yom Kippur. So do we want to do the 20?
Well, maybe we do the later one. The 22nd?
23rd. Nope,
23rd.
I'm on the wrong year again. Hold on. '22nd. Although that's. Oh wait, never mind. I was looking at the wrong year. It looks like Rosh Hashanah is the 25th and Yom Kippur is October.
Okay. Okay.
So the 6th would. It's not the 6th, it's the 8th. I keep looking at the wrong year. Sorry, guys. September 8th. September 8th work.
Does anybody object to that?
No,
This
that's
is
fine.
Beth, and say that first week, that's like, I don't know exactly when school is starting, but that first week is just when school starts, and I'm getting my kids back into that thing. It's always a big struggle, and making an 8 a.m. meeting on one of those mornings, when I combine that with my work schedule and my husband's work schedule, just probably makes it really stressful. So I'd prefer if we could maybe, if Kelsey can move it, that we move it to September rather than earlier.
Would the 22nd work? It looks like Rosh Hashanah is September 25th.
Yeah, that's fine.
The 22nd.
Yeah, great.
Okay. And that works for the office?
Yes, yes, it does.
Anything else with scheduling?
That's it for me.
Okay, let's move on.
This is Kelsey, and I move to approve the 2022 meeting dates with the amendment that the September meeting is Thursday, September 22nd, 2022.
This is
This is
Christine.
Beth.
Okay, a motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Beth Iva,
Aye.
Wendy Smith,
Aye.
Christine Morales,
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher,
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone,
Aye.
Meredith Mance,
Aye.
Meredith Klein, aye. All right. So the next thing on our agenda is approving a 2022 chairperson. And I do not want to do it. So I'm happy to nominate people, or someone can volunteer. Not sure how exactly this goes. I think there's people on here that could do a better job.
This is Wendy Smith, and I'm going to nominate Kelsey Fisher.
I also think Lynette Pettibone would be good also.
Yeah, this is Kelsey, and I am willing to serve as chair, but I also agree that Lynette would make a great chair. Lynette Pettibone. If Lynette has any interest.
I mean, I'll do it if people need me to, but I would rather not. This is kind of a more challenging year for me.
Does anyone else have interest in being chair? Meredith? Any interest?
I feel a little too new to the board to hop into that position so far.
Does someone want to second my nomination? This is Kelsey.
I second Wendy's nomination for Kelsey.
All right, so let's vote on it. A motion has been made to nominate Kelsey to be the chairperson for 2022. So I will call the roll. Beth Iva,
Aye.
Wendy Smith,
Aye.
Christine Morales,
Hi.
Kelsey Fisher. Do you vote?
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Lynette Pettibone,
Aye.
Meredith Mance,
Aye.
Meredith Klein. Aye. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
What's our next thing? Our next thing is approval of courses in disciplinary case. So this is, go ahead, Sylvie.
Oh, sorry. So this is Sylvie. In your materials, so I'm on page 9, starting on page 9 of the materials, is the final order by default. And if you've read through that, it is the board has to approve the courses that this individual took after a certain date. And then also attached in the series, if you get down, starting on slide 19, are the copies of the courses that she took. So we just need to have you guys have a discussion. Are these courses the appropriate one to address what was in the final order? And if so, then you guys have to approve, as in vote on that you approve these classes, and it satisfies the class requirements that are in the notice.
I mean, these look like good classes to me. This one on defensive charting, I wasn't familiar with it before. It looks like it's MEEC accredited, and Augustine Colebrook is the instructor. I've taken this fetal assessment and labor one by Holly Scholas. Does anybody have any issues with any of these classes? This risk assessment for midwives one from Silka, and Group B strep training. I mean, it's exactly what we requested.
This is Lynette, and I'm not in front of my computer at the moment, but I remember one of them not being MEC accredited and not really having any CEU accrediting body at all. I think it was something from another state. Is that,
Yeah,
can someone look and see if,
The GBS training is from Alaska. It's Midwives Association of Alaska approved, and I don't know what their standards are.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Oregon, the Oregon Midwifery Council certificate, that OMC uses the MEC standards for their criteria, but I'm not sure about Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be really relevant as to what their standards are in Alaska, what their formularies are that they're allowed to have, etc. Do we want to take some more time to look into what this particular class is, or do we want to request that she does a class, a more local class? Is there one that's offered by OMC?
Beth, this is Beth. Is there a way to ask her for more information, like a curriculum or like, I don't know, more information to see if it meets the guidelines that we were hoping for?
Yes.
Right, because we specifically said we wanted it to cover antibiotic prophylaxis, and there's not an indication on this. But if the respondent could provide the course objectives or the syllabus.
This
that
is
would
Meredith
help.
Mance. I found the course online. One thing I will say is it doesn't actually appear to be taught by a midwife or physician. It's like, I think that's my one concern. She's a childbirth educator and doula that's teaching it. And I'm not, yeah, I think we do need more information, like seeing that and knowing what we're asking for.
Is there any like brief syllabus or anything online that you see with the course? Like, what are they teaching then?
There is. Let me pull it up. It does look like it covers what we asked. I guess it's just a little odd to me that it's being taught by someone who's not a medical professional, I guess. It says what we cover, but you can't see that until you sign up for it. GBS in the newborn, revised CDC guidelines, treatment and options, preparing fluids for IV therapy, anaphylaxis, IV formula drops per minute, and instructions for collections of genital swab for the detection of Group B strep. So that does cover what we asked for, but I think that's my only concern is the person teaching it says, I'm a childbirth educator, doula, and mother-led care advocate. And then nothing really else about her like actual experience to be able to teach this class, if that makes sense. It's all just about her journey to birth work.
Well, what do we want to do? Is there more information that would help us decide? Is anyone comfortable?
My other
approving
class is
it?
what else is, or my other question is what else is available too. So maybe if we say no, I think it would be reasonable to ask her for alternatives to see if that's even an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it didn't seem like this licensee didn't know, how to do it, as far as like it wasn't about practicing. It's more about the standards. So it might be that it's adequate. Maybe we ask her for a little bit more information about the course.
I think that seems reasonable. Do we want to approve the other ones now? If we all agree that they're
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
adequately accredited.
I'm good with that.
Anybody object to it?
Then this is Kelsey, and I move that we approve the submitted courses on charting, fetal assessment, and risk assessment.
This is Meredith Manson, I second.
All right, let's take a vote. Beth Iva,
Aye.
Wendy Smith,
If you guys think so, then aye.
Christine Morales,
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher,
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone,
Aye.
Meredith Mance,
Aye.
and Meredith Klein. Aye. So the plan will be to request from the licensee more information about the one GBS course and then decide about that.
That is correct. Bob's taken notes and we'll do that. Send her an email and let her know what you guys decided today and give her an update.
All right. And the next thing on our list is reports.
All right, so this is Sylvie. So director's report, couple of little things. So membership. So we have Wendy, who's graciously serving until replaced. I did get, both Meredith and I got an email from Silka asking some questions about the description of that position. And she mentioned she had let me find the email.
A family practice doctor.
Yeah, she had somebody that she was interested in talking to about maybe filling in for or applying for that position. So she was asking some questions about it. So hopefully we'll get an interested individual. And thanks, Wendy, for continuing to serve. Beth is on her Beth is on her final stretch of 2 terms. Beth, you're good through 5/31 of 22. Obviously, we would love for you to serve until replaced. You're in the public member position, so it might be a little tough trying to get a public member. But if any of you have a friend or know of anybody who might be willing to serve as a public member, obviously, we're going to have an opening starting next year. And then Meredith Klein.
I do have a public member who is a former client who is applying.
Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. And then your term, Meredith, your first term will be done in June of 22. And so as long as you're obviously willing to reappoint, that'd be fabulous. But just letting you know that the governor's office has changed how you apply to be on the board. And so it's no more paper form. It's an actual, it's like Workday, you know how you have to go into Workday and take your trainings and all that stuff. It'll be in there. So the governor's office is transitioning every board, not just you guys or our office, but all state of Oregon board members and applicants into that program. So that will program and then we'll monitor. And so just so you know, it's changed. You can't just like redo the same paperwork you had before. Whole process is going to change. And we can talk more about that later when it gets down to it. But other than that, nobody else terms out next year. So the other thing, and I think I already talked to you guys about this, but genetic counselors is a new program that we're getting. The legislation added to us. It starts January 1. We will start taking on applications in December. It will ultimately redo our internal cost allocation because all the expenses will be divided by 17 boards and programs versus currently at 16. And so that will financially help a tad bit. But that's all I had for director's report. And what was next on the agenda? Is it COVID? COVID.
COVID-19.
Yeah. So in here in the materials is a copy of the email that we made sure, so this is regarding pregnant persons getting the vaccination. So that's in there for your information. Our office, we are still closed and open by appointment only. So nobody can just randomly walk into our building still. She plans to have us reopen January 3rd, which is the first working day of the next year. We will continue doing meetings virtually as this, and eventually we might have a few meetings in the office when there are certain things that need to be done, but for the most part, we're going to continue using Teams. We're using Teams to record these meetings now, and so that recording is what we're posting so that people can also see, for those of us who are on camera. But other than that, does anybody have any questions on COVID-19? Okay. Moving right along. So I'm on the statistics report. So slide 32. So for those of you who aren't looking at the computer, this is just talks about licenses issued, broken out by fiscal year. Our fiscal years start July 1 and go through June 30th. That kind of information is down the bottom. But this just shows how many licenses were issued. Usually looks like about, on average, about 3 a quarter. So 1 a month, maybe 2 a month. And then next slide shows licenses renewed, paper versus online. And as you know, you used to only be able to renew on paper because you had to submit documentation. We changed the rules so that you can attest to documentation. So now people are renewing online way more than they are through what we call snail mail, paper mail. So, but that's what that chart shows. The next chart shows the active licenses broken out by age and gender. So you do have one individual who has an active license who's the age of 74 to 81, and one individual who's 18 to 25, but a majority are in the age of 34 to 49. And, surprise, they're all female. The next slide shows licenses by county. And so this is the county of their address. So one may not necessarily work in that county, but it's their actual address county. We do not keep track of where people work, obviously, and people can travel, but this at least shows you where those licensees, what county they live in. So a majority, Multnomah, which is also our largest county. So. Next slide, which is on slide 36, just shows the license volume trend, again, broken out by our fiscal years and on a quarterly average. So you guys are slowly getting up there. You're over 100 of individuals now. Back in July of 2019, you were at 93. You're currently at 108. This next slide, slide 37, is the financials. You'll notice there that the revenue so far this biennium, which is only July and August, is quite high. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that can't be right, which it actually is correct. There were several individuals who paid on their civil penalties. So it won't stay that, we won't be obviously bringing in that much money in 2 months, throughout the biennium or the years, but there was two ginormous payments and a couple little payments, but for civil penalties. And you can see your ending cash balance is currently at 418 in the negative. Any questions on any of that stuff?
This is Lynette, and I have a question about the gender classifications. Are the options only male or female, or is there a non-gendered option? that people could choose.
Correct. Yes, there is they do not have to disclose. They can say other, they can leave it blank, they can write in whatever they want. But yes, it is a choice.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. There's only a few things that you have to give. You have to give your full legal name, you have to give your social security number, and you have to give your date of birth, and you have to give your residential address. But most people answer all the questions, and the form does say required, like social security number required, date of birth required, your true full legal name required.
Sylvie, do you know how long that's been an option on our paperwork?
The not disclosing the gender?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Or
recent.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. I think there was several changes in the legislation this last session. We're going through right now. So the social security number obviously is required, and because of, not that you guys necessarily need to know all this stuff, but there's several statutes that require the social security number. The date of birth obviously is required, legal name, but yeah, the gender stuff, a lot of that changed. And we're also, the other thing that changed was there used to be only like what nationality, I think there was only like 5 options, and I think now there's like 13. So they added to that also. And so we're updating the forms to include all the different nationalities that the legislation changed the bills to.
And just to jump in, this is Heather, where the social security number is not required by statute and there's an option for the people, then they're informed of that option. But otherwise, where it's required, they're informed of that also so that they have notice.
Yes. And so, and to add to that, so some individuals don't have a social security number. So if you don't have a social security number, then you would be issued a TIN number, which is tax identification number, and you have to give us your TIN number instead. And so that's where, if you don't have a social security number, you have to say, I don't have one, and then you have to sign a different section, and then that's where you have to supply your TIN number.
Thank you. I have a question about the finances, and you mentioned that with the genetic counselor licensing that would be some shared finance with the office. But I was wondering, where is it outlined that each board has to be responsible for its own other expenditures? Is that a rule? Is that in statute?
It's in statute.
Policy? It's in statute. Okay, so it would require a statute change
to what?
To like have that be any different. Like if there was a move to like for all of the licensees under the HLO to like share all of our costs and have the same licensing fee, that would have to be changed in statute.
Ah, gotcha. Yes. So if you you were saying like if all 70,000 of our licensees paid the same dollar amount?
Right. If we all shared all the costs.
Yeah, that would be a statutory change. The statute very clearly says that the boards have to, I'd have to like pull it up, but yes, all the monies have to be kept separate, and the revenue is supposed to be sufficient and enough to cover the cost of the expenses. Okay. Yes, that would be a statutory change. Any other questions before we move on? All right, so we are on slide 39, which is the regulatory report. Bob, you want to take over?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Look at that, nothing in 2017. That will drop off the report come the next board meeting. And in 2019, we've got 3 left open, and Trampus is working on those. And in 2020, we have 6 open, but just so you know, that number includes the most recent complaints we received, because we put a number in the system for tracking until it's open officially by the board. So we are making some pretty serious and significant headway through these cases, which puts a big smile on my face. So, any questions about the report? Sounds good. Okay. So we're ready to move into the subject matter expert piece of this. Just a caveat to what we're going to discuss. Any information that the board has, and the board members have about investigations or information relevant to discussions to executive session, you probably don't want to bring up at this time. But we did send out the request. We did send a request to have folks interested in working with us as a subject matter expert, and we had a pretty good turnout. And I believe the board members received all this information. So is there any discussion that anybody wants to have about the subject matter experts? I also would like to say, before we do that, is the cases are down, and we have one investigator assigned, Trappist. We can easily assign another investigator, but we do have a pretty heavy caseload. So even if when we do decide who else to bring on, the information coming back to the board from Trappist and a subject matter expert might be still slow in coming, just because of the amount of work that one investigator has. Trappist does also, as well as conduct the investigations for this board, he has other boards that he works investigations for, and he's also my lead, so he has other duties here in the office that take up a little bit of his time. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, so this is Sylvie. Before you guys go moving forward, we currently have one subject matter expert. However, it's always good to have another person at least on hand or ready, because if for some reason that subject matter expert cannot participate in the investigation, we're going to need somebody else. We don't need all of these people. We don't need somebody right now. So we're more looking for your guys' input on if you think somebody is better or not. Then we can contact them and say, look, we don't need somebody right now, but if we did, here's the qualifications. One of the big things is, and Bob, you can talk a little bit more about this, is the state of Oregon requires insurance. So they require a certain dollar amount. That doesn't mean that everybody has that. So if they don't have it or are not willing to get it, then they cannot be a subject matter expert, because they have to be under contract. And so those are some things that Bob can have conversations with whomever you guys think is the best candidate, and just kind of let that person know that here's what the requirements would be. We don't need you right now, but if we did, would you be willing to do it? Here's how much time consuming it is, and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where we're at.
Are you saying you need liability insurance, or what kind of insurance?
It's
liability insurance.
It's fairly recent, and it is liability insurance. And your practice, you may already have it, and you may already be covered by it. But for those that may be employed by another, like a birth center or something like that, may not be covered under their insurance. And the dollar amount is $2 million liability insurance that is required. And it's, like I said, it's fairly new, and it does scare people away. And I don't know how much exactly it costs for that kind of insurance, but it has scared some of the subject matter experts away.
No, that is a pretty significant expense in midwifery, for sure.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, then your insurance, if you're currently insured, it may cover it, or it may be something they can write in at minimal or that could be wrote in at minimal or no extra charge. It is an expense and it is a requirement.
This is a huge.
Oh, Lynette, if you're trying to talk, we're not hearing you. You're
Yeah.
going in and out.
Oh, darn.
We don't have. So
Yeah,
this is
Lynette, we can't hear you, Lynette.
just
You keep coming in and out.
want to find out that this is a huge barrier for midwifery and midwives. We don't typically hear.
Oh, now she's leaving. I think she might have got kicked off. So it's not, let me get the form up. So it's a bit different than, it's not.
Like we have liability insurance for basically because we share an office space and it was required for that, which is different than malpractice insurance.
It's not malpractice insurance. That's expensive.
Right. It's just the liability, which I think is.
All right, that's way easier.
I think it's like $40 a month or something. Do you remember, Meredith?
Yeah, Meredith, that's what we pay. We pay like 40 a month.
Yeah, this is Bob. That's the number I heard, but I had never seen it. I've never, I don't even know who the insurance companies are. I never see that part of the contract once it's done. But that number does sound relatively accurate from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, and that's a big difference from the malpractice cost. So I feel like that's a lot more doable.
Yeah. Hi, Lynette. I don't know if she's hearing us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that this is a huge barrier for midwives and midwifery because we don't typically, at least in the state of Oregon, have the ability really to even get malpractice liability insurance.
Lynette, we just clarified when you got kicked off that it's general liability, not malpractice insurance. Right. Which is different. So general liability is more like $40 a month instead of like the actual full malpractice cost.
So, but let's clarify what that liability is for, because I have both types of insurance personally, but general liability is usually considered in slang slip and fall insurance. So it's like premises liability. So what exactly is the endorsement that you're looking for?
This is Bob. So what I understand from the folks at Contracts and Procurement is it's because of the advice, if you will, or the information that you're providing to the office. Heaven forbid it's bad advice and a client or a respondent decides to sue you as an individual for providing this inaccurate or bad information to the office. And I went back and forth a little bit with contracts and procurement because we vet our cases so well. I mean, through DOJ, through the board, all professionals at all levels. And they told me there is no wiggle room. It's a requirement. Therefore, it is done.
I understand. So, I'm not trying to second guess the requirement. I'm trying to figure out, like, if I was to do that and I called my general liability insurer, who is State Farm, and I said, this is what I want added to my policy, I don't know that that would be a coverage that they would offer me. Like, it seems very gray. It's not the same as normal general liability.
There are, it's been difficult for some of the SMEs, the subject matter experts, to find the companies. But they are out there, and to me at $40 it seems affordable. I don't know for everybody, but it's been accepted. So the companies are out there, and some of them that have their own practice have contacted the current company, and it was an easy rider apparently for them. to get it added.
So are you guys able to provide guidance for someone who applied and needed help getting that?
I don't provide who the companies are because I really don't know. But I put one subject matter expert in touch with another, and they can discuss it because of that part of the information. I'm really not comfortable knowing somebody's detailed insurance information. If they're willing to share it, that's great with another expert. But it's worked out. For example, Colleen has helped me with RT. Her insurance was able, so I think he went with her insurance. So it's out there, and people and folks work together really well. So. We
could just put somebody in touch with Colleen and
sure
get the information and see if it would be doable for them.
For sure. And when I discuss it, when I just have my discussion with the subject matter experts that are the folks that are interested in being an expert, I make that first and foremost information to them because, like I said, it does scare people off, and it is a requirement. So
would it be what would be ideal for us as a board looking at these? We got 4 resumes. You said we don't necessarily need people right away, but would it be best if we pick like 1 or 2 of them that we wanted to move forward with, or what are you looking for?
Provide provide HLO with some guidance. I've gone through their disciplinary history and all that. So if you have some general idea of what the board would be looking for in somebody, that's what we're looking for. And I will talk to each individual and let them know where we are with the process. Like we need one, and it's not a full-time or part-time position. So one of the questions I get, it's a independent contractor, and I just give them the rundown of what the experience is like and what is expected. And some folks are okay up until you say you may have to be a subject matter expert at an administrative hearing. And, some folks don't want to do that. They want to do everything up to that point. So, but if the board would, if you have nothing, if you think they're all great, then that's great too. But if there's any discussion that you want to have on what you see, that's great. But we bring it to the board so the board knows who's interested and what we're looking for.
Sure. So does anybody have any comments on these 4?
This is Kelsey, and I'm curious if we have a preference between midwives who are also currently practicing. Like I know Holly has, been a midwife forever and owned a midwifery school and seems to like keep up on the evidence, but is currently mostly a consultant. And I didn't know if, just what people think about that versus, Heather and Amelia and Elizabeth are all currently practicing.
So this is Lynette, and I wanted to provide feedback. I believe Sarah Lack, who is also sometimes on our list of subject matter experts, is not practicing either.
Right.
I think though that she was when she was a subject matter expert. My understanding is that she just took off for maternity leave.
She has mostly not been practicing for several years.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know that I have a strong opinion on it. I was just curious if anyone did, if there was any particular, priorities that the board has for subject matter experts.
I mean, just that they feel free to be, open, honest, and impactful regardless of who's being evaluated. And impartial, I guess is a better word.
Right. And as you know, that's one of the things we would look at with any person in an investigation, even if it was one of our staff that, for example, was in a relationship with a respondent. We definitely wouldn't have that person investigating it. And same with a subject matter expert. If they were in a relationship or had any kind of financial relationship or business type relationship or practice or whatever, we probably wouldn't use that individual. We may have to scurry to get somebody else on contract if we had to, but yeah, for sure we wouldn't put ourselves in that kind of position.
I personally, this is Meredith Pine. I didn't have any concerns that Holly, for example, wasn't currently practicing. You know, I mean, her level of experience is vast, obviously, and she, you know, has the perspective of an educator. She has been on the board before. It looks like she's, you know, it seems like she has a real breadth of experience that would be valuable to that job. I don't know her well enough to know about that, the question about like bias or anything like that. I mean, she seems like a strong resume. And this first one, Emilia Smith, also I really liked her resume and experience.
I would agree that I think Emilia's is probably the strongest submission to me overall of all of them. And yeah, Holly obviously has like great experience. I agree. I don't really have like a lot of personal experience with her. But I also think there is some benefit in maybe having a little bit more of a modern SME that's currently practicing as well, or at least has in the recent future, even if they're not currently practicing, or having like a fresh voice of someone that hasn't been on the board seems like it might be valuable to me as well, since Colleen is an SME that was on the board previously. And so to kind of give it a little more variety of voices, that would push me a little more towards Emilia.
Okay, so with that being said, I will take a second look at these and make some phone calls.
Yeah, I think Heather and Emilia are both great choices. They from their documents, they have a lot of experience, including instructing, and have been in the midwifery community and are currently practicing.
Okay. Looks like Sammy's here.
I'm intently listening to you guys. So it's my turn, and the first item is a discussion you guys talked about the last meeting that you wanted to bring back to this meeting, which was regarding the abnormal field surveillance discussion. And that's really all I had about that. I don't know if you still want to talk about it, if you want to move to the next meeting, if you want to give me some documentation about it. You tell me what you want and what you need.
Do you have any more context for us about
No.
when we were talking?
Well,
like,
yeah,
This is the IUGR twins thing.
Yeah, this is Kelsey, and it was about how we didn't have growth restrictions specifically listed in our risk factors, and how in the rulemaking process we had considered that kind of any, concerning abnormal findings would meet the criteria for abnormal fetal surveillance. So like anomalies on the 20-week ultrasound or, you know, growth checks or anything like that. And we just wanted to be clear that even though we didn't have growth restriction as a specific risk factor, that it does, we do consider that to be part of abnormal fetal surveillance testing. So if we...
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that it would be great if we could send a letter to our licensees elaborating on that, so that, you know, if people are looking for, oh, growth restriction isn't here, that doesn't mean have the growth restricted babies at home. That means consult, because it falls under abnormal fetal surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the word surveillance has been taken, taken sort of out of the intent of what surveillance means in some cases, and that was a surprise. So I agree it needs to be clarified. I think when people hear surveillance, they think about non-stress tests or AATs and
right.
maybe not
Yeah.
ultrasound results.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think that in the past, that the word surveillance was only attached to that post-date fetal surveillance. And so that might be new for people to think of, you know, fetal surveillance as the entire pregnancy.
So we could craft a letter to send out to licensees just with this information. Is that what you're suggesting, Kelsey? Sounds like a good suggestion.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've done before with other updates or clarifications.
I could
Sure.
do like a practice clarification.
What?
A practice clarification is more like a Q&A. Like here's the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I could start it, but I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm not going to really know what I'm talking about. I'm going to need some help. So who wants to help?
I didn't hear what you just said, but I think I can help you if you need that. I didn't hear exactly what you just said.
I said I can do some of it, but I'm probably not going to know. I mean, I don't know any of the stuff. So, but I can put something together to start us out with. I just need someone that I can glean on and help me finish it.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Is that Wendy?
Yeah. Sorry, it's Wendy.
Okay.
I think so. Can I just hear you're going to send a letter to licensees? Is that what I heard, Wendy? This is Wendy.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And will that be brought back to the board at the next meeting or just sent out? Once like Wendy, looks it over and comments.
No, I'll bring.
So what we'll do is, so Sammy, whatever your microphone is, Sammy, is you're too far away from it, so everybody's having a really hard time hearing you.
Is that better?
A little bit, yes. So what Sammy's going to work on is kind of like we call them practice clarification, but it's kind of like a Q&A. So Sammy will work on that. Her and Wendy will work on it, and then we'll bring it to you to have you guys review it and basically approve it before we go sending it out. Because we're under the assumption that we understand what exactly it is that you want sent, which is not necessarily true. So we'll make sure that you guys review it before we send it. And then when we send it, what we do is we literally send it to every email we have. So it goes out like one of those email blasts like that COVID stuff has. And then we also post it on our website so that anybody can go and see it. And we also send it to all interested parties, which is anybody who's ever been asked to be on our interested parties list. So that'll be kind of how it flows. So you guys will review it before we go sending it out.
Great, thank you.
So I would hope to have it done in November, but I'm not going to bank on that, so I'm going to tell you January. Please stay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My blanket was muffling it. Okay, next item is what?
The LD&D.
Yes, so this is a very, very, very good meeting. I'll first make an apology about the original meeting, which we had some malfunctions with our recording system and getting the public in, and so we ended up having to cancel because we have to give the public the option to join in and listen. So I apologize for that, but I think we've fixed that problem. We have a process in place now to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. But it was a very successful meeting. All participants came. Like there was, what did you say? How many? Cynthia ran the meeting. They went over wanting to do look at competencies for out of state, MEC accredited, pre-accredited institutions, kind of what they're looking at, supervision, skill assessment. They want to do a skill assessment examination, which would be not like an agency overseeing, but it would be created by the board or the committee or whoever, and then it would roll out under supervisors or OMC or whoever is picked to do it. We do a lot of that by rule. And then a written examination, which would be created. And then I don't know, this is all pretty new, so I'm not sure how it's all going to flush out. I think it would probably be done online, the written exam, and even the skills possibly. I mean, it's really new. And so Cynthia is working with some subject matter experts. I think they designated Julia Bailey. I gotta get down there. Catherine Akerson, Bailey, and Greg Ramirez to work with her on drafting, preparing some standards. So the next meeting is December 9th, but I will say it was a very successful meeting. It went better than I expected. Okay, the next one is, do you have any questions about that?
No, thank you, Sammy. I'm glad to hear that it's going well.
Yeah, really well. All the participants got along really well. It was nice having like Mr. Ramirez as a paramedic, so hearing his kind of what he sees in his field and how he interacts was really nice to see. And then different aspects of midwifery. We had birth center people and Holly and education, so it worked out really, really well. And the last one is Birthing Center Advisory Committee. They're just trucking along. We had a meeting on Monday. We kind of every meeting gets stuck in an area, which you guys wrote rules, so you know how that goes. But we really kind of spent a lot of time on in the syphilis area. And then actually today, I just got an email from Melanie Burdnell. A health alert had went out from OHA about syphilis, and it specifically talks about pregnant women. So I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do an email blast with that out to everybody, to all the licensees. I can't be very simple to do, but just kind of give me some feedback on that. But that's kind of where we're at. And we also went through the building requirements, which I don't have anything to say about that. So like, do you have to have a smoke detector? It's like, I don't know. So I'm just there as an expert if they need to know a rule. But Kelsey's also on the committee, so is Colleen. So they chime in a lot. So I'm just kind of there to help when I can. And really to assist Melanie on, documentation and stuff like that. But if you want me to send out the syphilis notification that I got, you guys may get it. I don't know. It's the Oregon Health Network alert.
What's the issue with syphilis?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me read it, aren't you?
And I also got that because I'm part of that board and I read it and I was a little bit confused because the alert is that there's concern for congenital syphilis, which means people aren't being caught as having syphilis in pregnancy. And then as I read through the letter, there was 17 cases statewide. And most of those were had not received any prenatal care. So I'm not sure that sending it to us it's not coming from us, and people who are in our care are most likely being screened, but the updated advice was to screen twice, once at initiation of care and once in the 3rd trimester. But you guys, I don't know what you guys think about it.
I think that because the the recommendation for screening is different than when we were trained, it seems reasonable to send an email. I don't know that everybody would have received that information from somewhere else.
Well, I mean, it can't hurt to send it.
The number of emails in my inbox might say something different, but I think in this case, it can't hurt to send it.
I would agree with you. And then we actually just got emails for December meeting and January meeting, so this is going to be a long process. We're going to just keep going. But you guys are all familiar with the long rulemaking process, so I will just keep you updated. And Kelsey, if you have anything to add, by all means.
I think that I was only there for one day, filling in when someone else from LMC
Kelsey, you were filling in for Silka, and
yeah,
I'm on that committee. I think it's just switching. Yeah,
I don't know all the dynamics sometimes, so what's going on? But yeah, if anything else to add, by all means. Otherwise, I'm done. Easy for me today.
Yeah, did you have anything to add, Meredith?
I don't. I wasn't able to go this Monday, but I've been to the other ones. And yeah, I mean, it's a long process. We've been doing this for 2 years now. Granted, it was shut down for a long time for COVID, but yeah, we're on the second year of this process.
This is Lynette, and I'm on that committee too. And I was also not able to make the most recent meeting, but I do hope that it's just an advisory committee, but I do hope the people that are actually going to be taking the advice and making the rules are using the advice to more closely align with the LDM rules. It seems to be that they're taking that into consideration, but it's part of the process is being able to identify where the rules could be made to match or to align more closely.
The one piece that I kind of felt like has been missing in the last couple of meetings is anything from like HERC or even like OHP, if they had any information. I feel like that's a missing piece, but I figure it will come back around at some point. But I do feel like they're definitely taking things seriously. They have this polling system, which is, I've never seen it, and I don't know how they're going to write rules based on a polling system.
I actually have to disagree on the OHP HERC comment. Like the whole copy of the rules that we've made are based off of OHP and HERC's rules. So they got the first say in everything, which has actually been my big issue with the process. But just to add that, like we have plenty of their input.
Yes, they did write all the HERC stuff based on, they were all the the original Brookings Center rules were written. I don't even know when Sue Wilson served on the committee in 99, maybe 2000. It's ridiculous, long time ago. So, so that was a piece I've been missing the last couple of meetings, but I'm sure it'll come back around.
All right, so this is Sylvie. Bob, we are on the item number 4 on the agenda, which is public interested parties. Bob, can you see if there's anybody on the phone, and if so, if they would like to make a comment? And you're on mute, just so you know.
Hi, this is Bob with Health Licensing. Is there anybody on the public line? Hi, Silka. Did you want to make a comment?
Bob, turn it up. We can't hear her.
Silka, can you say hi?
This is Silka. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, I'm getting a nod. Yes, they can. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks so much. This is Silka Akerson from the Oregon Midwifery Council.
Hold on.
Wait, Silka,
Meredith,
hold on a second.
Meredith, you have to read your script, your public comment script. Sorry, Silka.
Sorry, Silka.
Here we are. At this time, the Board of Direct Entry and Midwifery will hear public interested parties' feedback. Members of the public, please wait until you've been recognized. Once recognized, please state your name and affiliation to the board for the record. All right, go ahead, Silka.
Thank you. This is Silka Akerson from the Oregon Midwifery Council. I wanted to comment on the issue of the board operating in the red and the statute. Sylvia, I was surprised to hear you say that the statute requires a board to be self-supporting, because you and I had correspondence about this in 2018, where I specifically asked for a reference to the statute because people had referred to that a number of times. And your response was, I don't think there is specific language about being self-supporting in statute. It's more about the process of getting your budget passed by the legislature, as in they will not pass your budget if you do not have enough money coming in to pay for it. Here is the language from our office, and then you shared the ORS 676.625, which I think actually has quite a lot of room for flexibility in it. And I think the legislature is also, is really concerned, especially the health committee, with our current situation of the midwifery board, operating in the red, but not wanting the license fee to go up. So I think this is an area where it would be really useful for there to be more communication between the health committee, the health licensing office, and the board about coming up with a solution that is within statute for this issue. And I just wanted to voice that I was confused to hear you saying that it was clearly in statute when that's not what you've communicated to me in the past. And I'm happy to share that email with you again, and I think it would be great if all the board members read ORS 676.625.
Yes, Silka, you're totally welcome to send that to me, because I don't know the whole context of that email, but it's not just 676.625. There's other statutes that also relate to the fees collected. So that's why I don't know what I was exactly responding to, but I have no problem if you send that to me, and then I can give you an update of, because it's not just that one statute.
Yeah, I'll send that to you and Meredith, but it was in response to my specific question about this topic, because we've been talking about this topic for years, and it has been expressed that it's in statute that it has to be self-supporting, and I'm specifically asking for which statute says it has to be self-supporting, and that was your response. So I will send it to you and Meredith now. Or should I send it to you and Kelsey? Who's officially the chair at the moment that I'm sending it?
Meredith is. So Meredith will be the chair until December 31st. So Meredith will be, okay. Yeah. So Kelsey will not be chair until January 1.
Okay, great. I just sent it to both of you. And then the second thing that I wanted to comment on was the process of looking at the subject matter experts. And I just wanted to comment on something that Bob said about how important it is to be aware, if the SME had a conflict of interest, like within a personal or financial relationship with a respondent or things like that. And my understanding is that in the past, that is why there has usually been more than one SME currently in contract, so that if there a conflict of interest or an availability conflict comes up, there's already more than one SME available. And I'm curious and somewhat concerned about the idea that there's only one SME needed now, and that the idea would be that if a conflict of interest or an availability problem came up, that then another SME would be contracted. It seems like it would be important for the flow of investigations and for not having unnecessary delays to have 2 or 3 contracted SMEs, so that there's always someone available without conflict of interest. And that's all.
Thank you.
Okay, so we now, Silka, just so you know, we're now going to go into executive session. I don't know if you want to stay on the line or not, but the line's going to get muted and they'll probably be in executive session for quite some time.
Thank you, Silka. She said she's going to log off.
Okay, so here's the other thing. So we need to have this discussion before we go into executive session. So Meredith Klein needs to log off at 10 o'clock. And if she logs off at 10 o'clock, you guys need to, and can't get back on in time for when we get back out of executive session and into regular session and need to make votes on anything that needs to be voted on. You guys need to select a person to run the meeting according to your rules in her replacement. So you guys need to figure that out.
This is Kelsey, and I would request that it would be Lynette or Meredith so that I can do the case numbers for the action items like I always do, unless one of you now wants to keep track of that part. Because I can't do both of those. The person who's running the meeting can't be the one making the motion.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
This is
You're
Lynette.
correct.
I'm happy to take that, but I will probably need guidance as I've done it before.
You're fine, Lynette, and I can help you with it. So you're going to get an email right now from April. Is it? I think.
Well, wait.
Hold on. I think you guys have to vote on it. Yeah.
Well, and which part was Lynette? Which part were you saying you wanted to do? The action items or be the temporary chair?
I can be the temporary chair.
Okay, great. This is Kelsey, and I nominate Lynette as temporary chair in the event that Meredith Klein is absent.
This is Meredith Manson. I second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Beth Iva.
Aye.
Wendy Smith. Did we lose Wendy?
I see her.
I see her, but
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
We're just
really weird.
We're voting to have Lynette be the temporary chair. If I can't get back in time, I have to log off at 10.
That sounds perfect. Aye.
Aye. Okay. Christine Morales.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
Meredith Vance.
Aye.
Meredith Klein. Aye. Okay, great.
Okay, now you can read your executive session script.
Okay, now I need to find that because
okay,
in a different window. Okay. The Board of Direct Entry Midwifery will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.595 for the purpose of considering information exempt from public disclosure at 9:25 a.m. on October 21st, 2021. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session by conference call and will be provided further call-in instructions shortly. The public phone line will be muted for the duration of the executive session. Are there any representatives of the news media on the public phone line?
No.
Didn't hear any. No. Recognizing there's no news media in attendance, the public phone line will be muted for the duration of executive session. We will return to the open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. We are now in executive session.
Okay, so Nathan, turn off the recording.